go in, you just have a whole bunch of pissed off people walking around. Okay? Insert leadership that provides a direction, and now the movement goes someplace. And everybody sitting here should understand that, because that's why you're here. There was an issue or series of issues that caused a grievance among everybody in this room, or you wouldn't be here. And then all of a sudden, there was some leadership that took it in a certain direction. You're insurgents. Congratulations, welcome to world history. Okay? Lack of government control, little or no interference from security forces or other government agencies. In the case of 9/12 and the Tea Party, the government can't, because we have certain rights and the government hasn't gotten so bad that they have completely abridged all of those rights. So there's no government action. So well, they may try, but that doesn't mean they're successful. So this insurgency continues in the direction that the leadership and the bulk of the people have decided they want to see it move. Radical Islam acts the same way. Its leadership, though, takes it in a different direction. Okay? Root causes. I'm pissed off because of taxes, I'm pissed off because I'm poor, I'm pissed off because I can't get a job, I'm pissed off, doesn't matter. See any root causes there if you live there?
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
That's common. Trust me. That's not uncommon. Want root causes? Anybody recognize that?
Yep.
Guess what? Read it, and it tells you exactly what the root causes were. And then they signed it and sent it off. So understand, this is not new in history. It's been going on. But understand, this is what Radical Islam is going to. That's what we're aiming at, or that's what they're aiming at. This is a busy slide. I don't want you to try and fully understand it. My purpose here is simply this. Our people, our commanders on the ground in Iraq and Afghanistan and anywhere else we're at, and us as a people, we look at the tactical situation. I don't care whether you're a brigade commander or a battalion commander or a company commander, you're looking at what's happening in your area. What are the bad guys doing? What do you have to do in response to that? Okay? And in the military, just a few people in the military actually operate at the theater and operational level. And those are like Petraeus' staff in Afghanistan, the top level staffs, CENTCOM headquarters, stuff like that over here at MacDill. In the military, if you're smart and you'd like to make it past the rank of lieutenant, you stay the heck out of politics. Okay? Because it's deadly, it's toxic, and as a military officer, it's against the law to get involved. Okay? So this is our world. This is the terrorist world. This is the radical Islamist world. His world, as far as thinking about things from a tactical level, very, very small. Everything he does is aimed not at the tactical level, but at the strategic level. Okay? When he blows up an airplane, he could care less about the 200 people that died. That's not his purpose. His purpose is how many people he scares and how much carnage and all he creates around the world. Everything he's doing for the strategic purpose, not the tactical purpose. And we don't understand that. We keep playing in the tactical game, and he's playing in a strategic game. We nowadays in the military, when I teach this, talk about the strategic corporal. Because today, a private or a corporal in the American military can do do something that destroys 2 years worth of hard work, of winning hearts and minds, etc. Anybody who doubts that, how about the words Abu Ghraib? Now, what happened at Abu Ghraib? I don't want to get into a debate, but basically it's what college kids do when they're hazing people to put them into a fraternity. You know, make them stand around naked and spray them with water and make them stand up and do stupid things. You know, that's hate, okay? But take a look at what it did. Strategic impact, not tactical. So understand what terrorists are doing, because terrorists are doing it for a reason. They're trying to get the government to overreact. The purpose of a terrorist act inside of a country is to do two things. One, show the population the government can't protect you. What's the first primary purpose of a government? Such protection. So the first thing they're doing is they're showing the people the government can't protect you. And the second thing they're doing is praying and hoping that the government overreacts. Because the more the government overreacts, the more they come down and make life difficult for everybody. Case in point. I do a terrorist attack. I blow up a bus. Now all of a sudden, there's checkpoints everywhere. Your drive to work in the morning goes from 30 minutes to 2 hours. And your drive home from work isn't any better because you got to go through the same checkpoints. When you get home, after that 2-hour drive home, how happy are you? Not very. Okay? So now I alienate from the government more and more people. As soon as I alienate them and give them a grievance, now the insurgents have a chance to indoctrinate them and to use that alienation to bring them over to the insurgent side. General McChrystal made it very clear, said it better than anybody else. You cannot shoot your way out of an insurgency.
I'm sorry, say that again?
You cannot shoot your way out of an insurgency.
Oh.
Okay? Doesn't happen. I'll give you an example. Comes out of Iraq. In Diyala province, main supply route, been relatively quiet for a matter of months. All of a sudden, they start getting IEDs on the truck convoys that are bringing supplies in to the bases in that area. Brigade commander, typical Army colonel, his first immediate response is, I'm going to saturate that area with ambush patrols at night, and I'm going to catch them little suckers digging holes in the ground next to the road, and I'm going to blow them away. Typical military response. His HTAC commander said, hey, look, boss, something's happened here, because things wouldn't go from being quiet to IEDs if there wasn't something going on. Give me a couple of days, let me find out what's going on. Commander says, okay, you got 3 days. HTAC takes his team in, checks out. Here's what they find out. The trucking contracts to bring supplies to the bases in that province had been changed in Baghdad. A different tribe now had the trucking contracts. All of the guys from the tribe that lived in that area were now unemployed. Okay? They got no money, they got wives and families and children and all, and they got to feed them. So Al-Qaeda comes in after a little while and says, give you $100 for every IED you plant. What are they going to do? I don't have money from any other place. So they start planting IEDs. What was the answer? The answer wasn't sending out ambush patrols to blow them away. The answer was go back to Baghdad and get the dummy to redo the contract so that they had jobs again. And as soon as that happened, guess what happened? No more IEDs. Okay? Understand the simple solutions aren't always the best. We as Americans tend to want simple solutions to everything. I will say this. How many of you have read news reports about the corruption in Afghanistan and tribal leaders taking, 10% of the workers' money? Good. Is that corruption?
Yep.
It is? And guess what? You got a corrupt government. Because I guarantee you the United States government, between Social Security and Medicare and the rest of the things that they take out of your paycheck, is taking more. In Afghanistan, they don't have federal programs. The way their society has evolved for the last 2,000 years is the tribal leader is responsible for widows and orphans and everything else. Okay? Yes, sir.
So you're saying it's not really corruption in the way it's...
It isn't the same, and here's why we have a problem. I'll give you one more example of press, and then I wanted this to be a discussion. In May of 2008, I was in southern Sudan, training Sudanese People's Liberation Army, mostly general officers, trying to convert them from a guerrilla army to a conventional army, because in another year or so they'll be back at war with Khartoum. The attack against Abyei occurred in the beginning of May of 2008. And Juba is the capital of southern Sudan. Juba, southern Sudan, has about 5 miles of paved road. They have never had electricity. They have never had running water. This is the capital. The fire station for the capital is a tin roof held up by telephone poles that they park the fire engine under, because they only have one fire engine. Okay? This is the capital of southern Sudan. The press comes in because the Janjaweed are attacking Abyei. And these dummies show up at the airport and they take the 8 or 9 hour drive to go about 100 miles because there's no paved roads, it's all dirt roads and trails. And they show up on the outskirts of Abyei. And they pull their cameras out and they're doing their thing. Well, I'm there and I don't blend in with the southern Sudanese because they're all black. So I sort of stick out like a sore thumb. So they come over and they ask, one of them asked me, well, what do you think about what the news thing I just did? So I said, I think you're stupid. He didn't take that too well. And he said, why? I said, well, you just told everybody in the world that this is a bunch of irregular militia attacking this town. It's not. He says, well, we saw them. I said, yeah, I saw the same dummies. And yeah, the guys on the ground are irregular militia. But this is not an attack by irregular militia. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, come with me. One of his buddies then came with me. And we went down into the town that we had cleared. And I said, what's this? What's this? And what's this? And they're looking at holes in the ground. I don't know. I said, those are bomb craters. Artillery rounds leave a very specific type of hole. Mortar rounds leave a very specific type of hole. Bombs leave a real big hole. Okay? And said, where did a bunch of irregular militia get an air force? Because in order to drop bombs, you got to have airplanes. And the southern Sudanese have none. They don't even have a balloon. There's only one air force in the area. Khartoum owns it. So this attack was not irregular militia against this town. This was orchestrated by Khartoum. And they then asked, well, why? Why would Khartoum lie to us? Why would they do this? I said, that's easy. Comprehensive Peace Accord 2005 said there's 3 elections. 2005 election to establish a temporary southern Sudanese government. Now remember, this event occurs in May of 2008. A July 2009 election to determine whether the disputed areas align themselves with the south or stay part of the north. Khartoum has to drive the locals off the land before the 2009 election and repopulate it, or the people who live here are going to vote to be with the south, and Khartoum loses the territory. And the reason Khartoum doesn't want to lose the territory is because that's where the oil is. And if you want to know who's behind it, they said, that's real easy. Go up to the oil line. So I took a couple of them in the vehicle, went up to the oil line.